Hi, and welcome to the First Laws mini course. Today we'll be talking about the foul play process. So more specifically, we're going to be looking into the head contact process, since that tends to be the main source of foul play that is discussed in rugby these days. So whenever a referee sees potential head contact, we go through these 4 questions, which we'll cover in the future slides. So the application of the head contact process can only be for high tackles, shoulder charges, dangerous cleanouts, head-to-head collisions, and leading with the elbow or forearm, both as a tackler and as a ball carrier. So the process questions that you saw before goes as follows. So the first thing we look at is, has head contact occurred? And so the head contact includes the neck and the throat area. So if the answer is yes, then we go on to number 2, which is, was there foul play? So we can have head contact without foul play. So the things we're looking for are, was the contact intentional? Was it reckless? And was it avoidable? So if it isn't, then there's no foul play and we can play on. And if there is, then we go on to the next question, which is, what was the degree of danger? So here we want to look at a couple of things. So is it direct or indirect contact? Is the force high or the force low? So for degree of danger, we're really trying to decide, are we looking at a penalty kick, a yellow card, or a red card? So direct contact, we're probably looking closer to red card or yellow card. Indirect contact, we're probably looking yellow card or penalty. Same goes for high force versus low force. Low force, we're probably looking more yellow card, penalty. And high force, we're probably looking at red card, yellow card, depending on whether there's mitigation or not. So mitigation then is our last question. So mitigation allows us to lower the degree of danger by 1 step. So we can never go from a red card to a penalty only, and we can never go from a yellow card to a play on. We can only go for red card to yellow card or yellow card to penalty.
Just to clarify something, rather than lowering the degree of danger by 1 step, what we're doing is lowering the degree of sanction by 1 step, just to clarify that. Sorry, Chris.
No, it's all good. So the main considerations we're looking for, was there a clear line of sight for the tackler? Was there a sudden and significant drop or movement? So is the player falling? Was there a last minute sidestep? Was there a clear attempt to change height by the tackler? So does the tackler attempt to get low? Was the player in control? If they're out of control, there's definitely no mitigation. But if they're in control or if they're passive, especially if they're an upright tackle, a passive upright tackle is less danger to the ball carrier than a dynamic upright tackle where that player's launching forward. So whenever there is high contact, we have 4 options. The first is play on. So here there's no fault when there's a sudden and significant drop in height by the ball carrier. So oftentimes we'll see this with a ball carrier slips or falls. If the player had no time to readjust their position. If it's a passive action, an involuntary collision. So sometimes we'll see a player gets tackled into another player. This obviously would not be considered a high contact process for us, as there's no fault. And if there's no leading arm when your arm's close to the body, so this would be for a clear out or for a ball carrier going into contact. When we're looking at penalty kick or yellow card, we're looking at low danger. So this is for indirect contact, low force, low speed, a passive contact, and no leading of the head, shoulder, or forearm. And finally, we have a red card. Typically, red card moments, they stand out to us. Hopefully it's a situation that everyone sees. So we're looking at direct contact with the head, lack of control by the tackler, high speed, upright and dynamic situations, in rucks or with a ball carrier, someone who leads with, specifically in rucks actually, someone who leads with their head, shoulder, elbow, or forearm, any kind of swinging arm. And one thing that's really important to note is referees cannot mitigate for intentional or highly reckless acts of foul play. And the most common one that we see in this is typically a shoulder charge. So if there's a shoulder charge, you're looking at full sanction, and there's nothing that we can do about that. So in discussing mitigation, the three things that we're really looking at are a sudden and significant drop in height or a change in direction from the ball carrier. So here we're looking at a player slipping or a last-minute sidestep. So these would be mitigated. There could be a late change in dynamics caused by another player as well. So let's say we have two players involved in the tackle, and the first player makes a good tackle, and the second player ends up in a high contact situation where maybe they're attempting to wrap, but they make direct head contact. We're not looking at a red card here. And the last thing is really for the ruck and clear out, which is a clear effort to wrap or bind and just not having time to adjust.
And a simple way that I like to think about and look at mitigation is, was the contact avoidable or unavoidable? If the contact was unavoidable, then we're hopefully going to be looking at mitigation because the player was put in a position that they couldn't predict. And if the contact is avoidable, then there's probably no chance for mitigation, which goes back to the previous slide, which said there's no mitigation for intentional or reckless acts, and that would fall into the avoidable category. So if someone is doing something that was avoidable, then we're probably not going to mitigate in that situation.
So this week or this month, we have a quiz for you that will have 10 clips. So no written questions, but we want you to watch the 10 clips and just write down what you think the correct decision is. And then we've included a list of answers for the quiz with a brief explanation for each contact. And if you have any questions, as usual, just please write to us and we'll do our best to get an answer to you. The email is loisrqlaws@gmail.com. Thank you for watching, and see you next month for the Tackle Ruck presentation.